previous lesson, we looked at factoring trinomials in the form of x squared plus bx plus c. And we looked at the relationship between those trinomials and in factored form. And we noticed that the value for c can be broken down into two factors, and those two factors have to add up to b. And then we can create this product of two binomials, and we say that that trinomial can be factored evenly to a product of two binomials. So let's look a little bit further at that and some examples where c can be negative or b can be negative. So in this example here, we have x squared plus 2x minus 15. So we're going to look at the factors of negative 15, and we want to see which ones sum to positive 2. So we know we have 1 and negative 15, or negative 1 and 15. Those are both factors. We also have 3 and negative 5, or negative 3 and 5. Those are both also factors of negative 15. So in this case, we want to look at negative 3 and 5, because we know that if you take negative 3 and you add 5, you get positive 2, and that's what we want for our value for b. So we can say that this trinomial factors into a product of x minus 3x plus 5. And we could FOIL that to double check here. So that gives us our x squared plus 5x minus 3x and minus 15. Oops. And you'll notice here, if we combine our like terms, we would get x squared plus 2x minus 15, which is what we started out with. So yes, indeed, that is the factor of that trinomial. Let's look at another example. In this example, we have x squared minus x minus 12. So now they're both c and b are negative. And let's make some more room here. And we can go ahead now and look at the factors of negative 12. So let's look at the factors of negative 12. And we know that's 1 and negative 12, negative 1 and 12, 2 and negative 6, negative 2 and 6, 3 and negative 4, and negative 3 and 4. So we want to look at these factors and see which one adds up to negative 1. And you'll see that those two there, 3 minus 4 is negative 1. So these would be the two factors that we would put into our binomial. So we could say that this is equal to a product of x plus 3 x minus 4. And that's our factored form. Let's look at one more example here where we have c is positive, but b is negative. So now when we look at our factors of c, here we have factors of 20. We know b is negative, so that means that our factors have to both be negative. So negative 1 and negative 20, for example, the product of those is going to give us a positive number, which is what we want. We want this to be positive, but we want the sum to be negative. So negative 1 and negative 20, negative 2 and negative 10, negative 4 and negative 5. And you'll notice that those two sum to negative 9, which is what we want. So we can say that this trinomial factors to x minus 4x minus 5. So let's just take a quick look in summary with that. If we have x squared plus bx plus c, then we know that our factors m and n, x plus m, x plus n, that m and n must both be positive. Okay, those two factors have to both be positive. If we have x squared minus bx plus c, and we know that that is equal to a product of two binomials here, that to get the positive c and the negative b, that those must both be negative. We must have the case of x minus m, x minus n. So m and n are less than 0. They're both negative. If we have the case, the last two cases here, negative bx minus c, or x squared plus bx minus c, in both of these cases, we have either m or n is less than 0, but not both. So we might have one here where x minus m, x plus n, and maybe we have the case here, x plus m, x minus n. So one of them has to be negative and the other positive in order to get our value for negative c. So here m is less than 0, n is greater than 0, and the other way around here, greater than 0 and n is less than 0, like that.